So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in colour, it's Mr. Wayne Lovejuice.
The other day I produced a Louis, had a track with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithms really aren't that happy. If a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could texture whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track extra.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, which is, for those of you not aware, and I think most of you probably are, but just in case you're not, it is the largest, as far as we know, the longest standing, and we like to think the best, mystery animal research group in the English-speaking world.
Certainly the handsomest.
Oh dear, dear, dears. We got mutterings from the cheap seats. Shut up, I haven't introduced you yet, Mr. McCrimmon.
Sorry.
Oh dear, dear, dear. You can't get the staff these days. And this week I'm joined in this episode of On the Track Extra, which is a show that comes out every Wednesday evening at 6:30 for about a quarter of an hour. I'm joined by two of my oldest friends. Here, through the magic of the iPad, I'm joined by V. McCrinnan, who is somebody I've known since the late 1980s, so probably about 37 years, something like that. And over here, Richard, in the picture opposite me, is Richard Muirhead, whom I have known since the summer of 1970, when he was about 6 and I was about 11. So I've known him longer than I've known anybody who's still alive in the world, apart from my brother and my cousin Penny. Other people I knew from that length of time ago are all dead. So here is two of my oldest friends who are both very much cryptozoological people and both very importantly involved with the CFZ, and we're going to be talking about Richard's three favourite isn't the right word, the three cryptozoological creatures that Richard finds most intriguing. Let's just do one at a time, Richard. Number one.
The flying snake of Namibia.
Okay, the flying snake of Namibia, which, as regular CFZ watchers will remember, Richard wrote about in the very first yearbook, which we put out at the end of 1995. That is within a few months of being 30 years ago. Namibia, for those of you not aware, and I'm very much aware that these days people's geography is woefully under-taught at school. Namibia is a country in southwest Africa, bordering upon the Republic of South Africa, and it used to be known as Southwest Africa, and before that, back when there was a German Empire, before we took it off them at the end of World War I. Yes, V. McCrinnan?
Sorry, I just smirked. Sorry.
You were smirking about the idea of giving the Hun a good taste of good old British spunk, were you?
Yes, they don't like the taste of British spunk, no.
And it was called German Southwest Africa, and as the name implies, it is a country on the southwest coast of Africa. And I will show you a map here to show you where it is and why it is. But Richard, tell us the story of the flying snake.
Well, I first found out about it when I was in a bookshop in London, and I bought a book called These Wonders to Behold. Can't remember the author's name, but I read through this book and I came across a story of how I think it was around 1940, a mysterious snake-like, dragon-like cryptid sailed down a cliff and attacked this 14-year-old boy, shepherd boy, Afrikaans descent, and left a sort of skid mark on the ground.
Shut up, V. Don't say anything.
And
Don't.
later on, the Miss Courtney Latimer, who was behind the coelacanth rediscovery, she investigated it and couldn't make head or tail of it. Although I think she took photographs, and it had a kind of smell like tar, or like burnt brass or tar. And it's known by the local people, and it apparently carries a light on its head. So when in the West, in Europe or North America, somebody sees a mysterious light in the sky, they say, oh, it's a UFO. But in Namibia, where they see this strange light at night time, they say, oh, it's a flying snake. And it's the flying snake in Namibia is said to have bat-like wings near its head, and some accounts say it's got little horns on its head, and it's like a 20th century dragon, really. And there's an added element in that the story of the flying snake in Namibia could have got mixed up with stories from German missionaries of European dragons.
How big is this thing supposed to be?
I think it's around 15 to 20 feet long.
Because that's a bloody big snake, and most of the snakes that actually can reach a size of that, not all, but most of the snakes that get that big are boas or pythons.
Yeah.
And is it supposed to fly or glide?
It's supposed to glide. When it attacked this 14-year-old boy, it glided down from a cave in the cliffs above ground level. And that's another dragon-like parallel in that some accounts of dragons say they live in caves. And the flying snake in Namibia, or this particular one, also lived in a cave.
I'm interested in the light on its forehead, because there are snakes that have modified scales on their foreheads, which I suppose could shine or reflect light.
Yes. Yeah, that was an element that came out in my initial research when I wrote about it in the 90s.
Have there been any recent sightings?
I've not heard of any, no. I think Richard Freeman was looking into this story, and I don't know if he ever found any more recent sightings.
V, what's your take on it?
I think it's very interesting. I'd be quite interested to know whether it's adapted to open up its rib cage to provide an aerofoil like some of the smaller gliding snakes and lizards.
Like Draco Voland?
Yeah.
That would be quite an interesting thing to find out.
Did you boys know that I've actually got a preserved Draco Voland out in the office?
No, I didn't know
No, I haven't seen that.
That's quite cool. I think it's probably packed away now. Nearly half the stuff I've got is packed away now. I don't know where anything is. I don't think we're going to be able to get any sense or order into the place until I've moved to Exeter now.
Yeah.
This flying snake in Namibia, its wings were not really wings, they were more like flaps. They were more like bat-like wings near its head. I don't think it was down the whole body. I think it was near its head. So,
I mean, aerodynamically, if it had a appendages like wings up near the head end.
Yeah.
And you think about the way that snakes typically undulate. If it had the adapted ribs like the smaller known gliding snakes, that would make sense, because then the wings at the front could actually propel it, and it could angle its body to catch the
thermals.
The draft, to actually lift itself. So something with that sort of design could potentially, with that sort of adaptation, could potentially travel quite a long distance.
Yeah, two things I forgot to mention. One, all this happened the initial incident all happened so quickly that the eyewitness, the boy, may not have fully absorbed what he was seeing. And secondly, I think the thing, once it had flown down from the cliff, it flew back up again.
Oh,
no, that's weird. Yeah,
because later on, the parents, or the father of the boy, and some other people dynamited the cave, blew it up, and they heard a kind of moaning sound, and that was the end of that particular flying snake in Namibia.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. I don't remember everything, but I do seem to recall what I've just said.
Well, that's a bloody good start. Okay, what's number 2 on your list, Richard?
Number 2 is the Tigre de Montaigne, or the Chad's living Sabertooth cat.
Okay, for those of you not aware, Chad is a landlocked country next to Nigeria and Niger, and it is in West Africa, and it includes the vast majority of what is left of the enormous Lake Chad, which was a meteoric impact crater from millions of years ago, which is sadly slowly drying up. And my late mother and my late father were amongst the first European explorers to chart the southern Nigeria edge of Lake Chad, and my father was the first agricultural officer ever to study Lake Chad, to find out and catalogue all the different types of wild rice that grew there.
Oh, that's interesting.
But, okay, Richard, tell us about the Tigre de Montaigne.
Now, this story, I think, first came out in one of Bernard Heuvelmans' books that has not yet been translated into English, The Unknown Felines of Africa. It's about mystery cats in Africa, anyway.
I think the first time it came out in English was in Carl Schuker's Mystery Cats of the World book.
Yes.
That would have been 1989 or 1990.
Yeah. And it referred to a French hunter called Christian Le Noël, I think. And the story is that Christian was in a remote part of a mountainous part of Chad, northern Chad, I think, and he heard this incredible roar sound, and he turned to his guide, his native guide, and said, "What's that?" And the guide said, "Oh, it's Latigra de Montaigne, the mountain tiger," and it's said to have red and white stripes, I think, not running from head to tail, but running around the body. Hard to describe, but not head to tail, but parallel lines up and down the body. And that's really all that is known in the West about the Tigre de Montaigne. But what I'm interested in it because it's so obscure. Because I'm really interested in the more obscure side, what you could call archival stories. And I wanted to go out to look for the Tigre de Montaigne back in the 90s, but for various reasons that never materialised.
Chad is not a good place to go unless you've got a well-equipped and very well protected expedition.
Yes.
And it's overrun by extreme groups, militant groups, who don't particularly like Westerners.
Yes.
That's putting it mildly.
And I think a Westerner who's a card-carrying Christian would be even less popular.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
But if it was ever found, if a photograph or a verifiable video or a hair sample or whatever was ever found, that'd be a totally amazing breakthrough.
What do you think about that one, Mr. Mack?
I think it's very interesting. Would certainly be a bit of a landmark if someone could actually get a photograph and show that it exists and that it's got saber-tooth teeth. None of those. There are various species that had saber teeth, but as far as we know, none of them are extant now, are they?
I believe that saber teeth as a defense and hunting mechanism evolved on 3 totally different occasions. I think twice with cats and once at least once with a marsupial, maybe more. And so it's not at all surprising logically that there might be modern saber-tooths, but what they are, whether they're prehistoric survivors or something new that's in the process of being evolved, that's the $59 billion question, as the saying goes.
Whether they have direct linkage to the Pleistocene or anything,
Why, are you saying they're made of modelling clay?
I've been told about saber-tooth cats in remote parts of New Mexico, and I think there's a report. Yeah, I had a contact about 10-15 years ago who told me about ones he'd heard about in the very remote parts of Arizona or New Mexico. Also, I think there's a story of one in South America somewhere, possibly Paraguay.
And of course, there are stories in Australia of surviving Thylacoleo, which had very peculiar teeth. They didn't have saber teeth, but they had weird teeth, almost like rodents, big sticky out things.
Yeah.
I'll try and find a photograph of it because they are so completely peculiar.
Yeah.
Now, the thing, before we get on to your third and last one, Richard, the thing that impresses me most about the 2 creatures you've talked about so far is that they're both eminently possible.
Yeah.
They're not, goodness me, there's a dinosaur living in our boating pond. Well, I mean, there probably is. It's a moorhen, and everybody knows that birds are evolved theropod dinosaurs. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not something out of the beast from 20,000 fathoms. It's something which makes zoological sense, and they both do.
Yeah.
And
as does my third one.
As does your third one, which is what I was just about to say. Third and last one. What is it then?
The Dovha Chu.
That's pretty good. Dovha
Chu, yeah. Which was in the 18th century what is also called a king or master otter, a giant otter, much bigger than the otter which is native to the British Isles, and it attacked a man and a woman in the 18th century, and one of the victims of this attack is buried in a graveyard near Bundoran.
No, I think she's Bridget something. I think it was
Yeah.
Bridget Connolly, but
And there's a story that this Master Otter chased these two people, and one of them tried to escape on horseback. So, and on the gravestone in the churchyard is a depiction of the Dovashu, and it looks kind of like a cane, a cross between an otter and a large dog. And what attracts me to this story is it's one of the it's the only cryptid story I know where there's a physical remnant. One of the very few stories where you've actually got the gravestone with the depiction on it, which is still just about visible despite about 200 years of erosion, weathering.
What do you think, Dre? You're somebody who's explored your Celtic heritage. Have you heard of this thing before?
I have, yeah. I had some quite long chats with Ronan about this. And Ronan's got well, you know what Ronan's like with his stories. He's got some fantastic stories. But the one that stands out for me from Ronan's speaking on this was the one about a woman who was they were living on one of the islands there, and I think they were living on an island, and she went to the lake to the I don't know if you call them lochs over there, but she went to the lake to do the washing on the shore, and apparently this thing came out of the water and attacked her and killed her, and then her husband came along. Very interesting story. If you can actually get Ronan back on, you can tell that story. I think he's told it before on one of our episodes.
This could be the same one I'm talking about.
No, there are two different stories.
Are there?
One is the one where it's supposed to have attacked a couple.
Yeah.
But the one when it attacked the woman who's doing the washing, that's the one that's got the carved gravestone, I believe. But again, Ronan is the person to check out on this one. He knows his stuff.
Okay. So, yes, I've been coming across more and more reports of these things, which are a bit like pinnipeds. And if any viewers don't know what a pinniped is, it's the whole seal family. Things that are described as being a bit like a pinniped, except that they're very fast moving. And normally you don't think of seals being very fast moving, do you? Really? Not on land.
No. But
in the water, they move like grease lightning. But
leopard seals incredibly fast, I believe, on land as well.
Yes, but then again, they are predators that will eat warm-blooded animals, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're only found in Australia and the Antarctic, so it's not this isn't really relevant.
No, not really. But anyway, there are. I've been coming across more and more reports of these things, which are generally described a bit like seals, but moving a lot faster. And these things are being seen sunbathing on the shores of some of the Irish lakes. And they're also quite long, some of them, so they have humps when they move in the water. And I was just wondering whether or not there could be a linkage between the Dovahku and the these sort of pinniped-like things?
I don't know, but that's something to really ask Ronan. So next time I have Ronan on the show, I'll get you on. You can come and ask him. You can ask him directly.
That'd be lovely. I haven't spoken to him for ages. It's very difficult. I don't think he looks at his messenger messages very often.
No.
It's very difficult to get hold of him if you haven't got his direct phone number.
Anyway, old friend, Richard has gone off to, I'm not sure where he's gone. He's gone somewhere. You're there. I've got to go and phone America. And America. And I've also had a phone call that I think was from Mohammed. So I've got to go and speak to him. Because you mustn't keep Mohammed waiting. Mohammed, by the way, being Dr. Mohammed, Miss Guinevere's little boy.
Yes.
I'm not in the process of converting to Islam.